Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, team representative, and all FIBA WASL fans. Welcome to the official draw ceremony of the FIBA WASL Final 8 2026, here in Beirut, where we will determine the composition of the two groups of this year's Final 8. Before we look ahead to September, a short review of the season behind us. Season 4 tipped off in November and brought the most significant format changes in the history of this competition. The West Asia League moved to a single group so that every team faced every other team, home and away. The Gulf League continued with 8 clubs from 5 countries, and across the whole competition, the eligibility rules were updated to allow 3 foreign players on the court at the same time, which raised the level of the games from the first week where the season ends, till the season ends. In March, the competition was stopped because of the situation in the region. The decision was taken to postpone the Final 8 rather than cancel it. And the new dates also allowed our players to take part in the FIBA Basketball World Cup 2027 qualifiers windows in July and in August. At the point the season stopped, 4 teams had qualified to the semifinals of the Gulf League, and 4 teams had qualified to the semifinals of the West Asia League. The semifinals were not played in either subzone, so there is no final standings for this season. For that reason, the group phase standings have been used to divide the teams into pots for today's draw. With the absence of BC Astana, who didn't confirm their participation in the competition, here are the 8 teams of the FIBA WASL Final 8 2026. From the West Asia League, Al Riyadh Beirut Club from Lebanon, Shardari Gorgan from Iran, and Sajaz Sports Club from Lebanon. While from the Gulf League, Ittihad Club and Al Ula Club from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait Sports Club from Kuwait, and Al Arabi Sports Club from Qatar. And from the South Asia subzone, Indian Railways from India. Indian Railways is the only club joining the competition at this stage. In previous season, the champions of Central Asia and South Asia were both added directly to the Final 8. This season, the Central Asia champion was part of the West Asia League from the first game, so South Asia is the only addition. Let's take a look back at the season that brought us to this point. The FIBA WASL Final 8 2026 will tip off on the 25th of September in Zoo Mkayel, Lebanon. These 8 clubs will be competing for the title of the champion of the region, a title won by Manama Club in the first edition and by Al Riyadh Beirut Club in the 2 editions since back-to-back. For FIBA, this competition is a long-term investment and not a one-off event, a full international season for our clubs every year. And because of the break, the teams arriving in Zoo Mkayel will not be the teams we saw in the spring. Rosters have changed, new players and new coaches have come in, and the national team players returned from the World Cup qualifiers in top form. Now, let's look at the competition structure and the draw procedure.
This video explains how the draw for the FIBA WASL 2026 Final 8 will work. A total of 8 clubs from West Asia, Gulf, and South Asia will participate in the 4th edition of the FIBA WASL 2026 Final 8. 3 teams will compete from FIBA WASL West Asia League, 4 teams from FIBA WASL Gulf League, and 1 team from South Asia will participate in the FIBA WASL 2026 Final 8. For West and South Asia, Al Riyadh Beirut Club and Shardari Gorgan will be in Part 1. Sajaz SC and Indian Railway will be in Part 2. For Gulf, Ittihad Club and Al Ula will be in Part 1. Kuwait SC and Al Arabi will be in Part 2. Group protection applies, which means clubs coming from the same country cannot be drawn together. For example, if Al Riyadh Beirut Club are drawn in Group A, Sajaz LC will automatically be drawn in Group B. The same principle applies to all countries having 2 clubs. Advancing will be the top 2 teams from each group to the semifinals. They'll cross over in a single elimination knockout game, with the winners moving on to the final battle of the FIBA WASL Final 8 Championship.
Now, before the first ball is drawn, let's go over the conditions of the draw. The 8 teams will be drawn into 2 groups of 4, Group A and Group B. The first condition, 3 teams from the same subzone cannot be drawn into the same group. And that's how the pots were divided. Condition 2, 2 teams from the same country cannot be drawn into the same group. This is the same rule applied in the group phase of our league. In previous editions, the groups were formed according to the final standings of each subzone, and no draw was required at this stage. This season, with no final standing available, the 8 teams have been divided into pots according to their positions in their subzone group phase. 2 pots per subzone. 1 team from each pot will go automatically to Group A and the other automatically to Group B. So these are the pots in the West Asia subzone. Pot 1, we have Al Riyadh Beirut Club from Lebanon and Shahrdari Gorgan from Iran, while in pot 2 we have Sajaz Sports Club from Lebanon and Indian Railways from India. Now, in the Gulf subzone, we have in pot 1 Al Ittihad Club from Saudi Arabia, Al Ula Club from Saudi Arabia, while in pot 2 we have Kuwait Sports Club from Kuwait and Al Arabi Sports Club from Qatar. On the competition system, the top 2 teams from each group will qualify for the semifinals, and the 3rd and 4th place team will be eliminated. 3 games in the group phase and only 2 places available. Now, we will now proceed with the draw. 3 balls in front of us. We will first start with pot 1 in West Asia, where we have Riyadh Beirut and Gorgan Sports Club. Riyadh Beirut from Lebanon will go automatically to Group A. Now we continue with the second team in pot 1 of West Asia. Shahrdari Gorgan from Iran will go automatically to Group B. Finishing West Asia, and we move further to pot 1 in Gulf, where we have Al Ula Club and Ittihad Club from Saudi Arabia. The first team, Ittihad Club from Saudi Arabia, will go automatically to Group A. As for the second team in pot 1 Gulf, Al Ula Club will be in Group B. Now we move to the Gulf pot 2, where we have Kuwait and Al Arabi. Kuwait Sports Club from Kuwait will go to Group A, while the second team, Al Arabi, will go to Group B. Since Al Riyadh Beirut Club from Lebanon was drawn in Group A, so automatically Sajaz Sports Club from Lebanon will go to Group B, while Indian Railways fill the remaining spot in Group A. Now let's take a look of the groups of the FIBA WASL Final 8. In Group A, we have Al Riyadh Beirut Club from Lebanon, Ittihad from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait from Kuwait, Indian Railways from India. While in Group B, we have Shahrdari Gorgan from Iran, Ula from Saudi Arabia, Al Arabi from Qatar, and Sajaz Sports Club from Lebanon. Ladies and gentlemen, the groups of the FIBA WASL Final 8 2026 are set. The competition will tip off on the 25th of September in Zoumkaya, Lebanon. 8 clubs, 6 countries, 3 subzones for the title of the champion of the region. Thank you to our clubs, our national federations, to our partner, and to our broadcasters. And thank you to everyone who followed us tonight. Good luck to all 8 teams, and we look forward to welcoming you in Zoumkaya.